So with that then said, Daniel, let's start on a positive. Let's spin this positive for a second. How do we find someone who's legitimately an expert in a subject before we get into perhaps some of the fakers, gurus, and just bullshitters?
Yeah, it's a good question, Will. And let's be very clear, there are a lot of great experts. There are great LinkedIn experts. There are great other subject matter experts that are sort of, sharing content and building their brands on LinkedIn and other social media channels. There are great people out there. And sometimes they're quieter than the people that maybe don't qualify as genuine experts. They're not as noisy. So I guess there's one thing you can do above all, takes a bit of effort, but if you are genuinely going to spend your money, whether it's you as an individual buying a course from them, you as a company hiring them to speak or train your business, the ultimate thing you can do to get real full credibility is speak to their customers.
Yeah.
Because, and we might cover this in today's episode, but people are even paying or making up reviews and testimonials. So you might even say, well, check their recommendations on LinkedIn. But there probably are ways, not that I know of, but ways you can maybe hack that or manipulate that. So I guess the ultimate crux would be having a proper conversation with someone who has actually paid and had a good experience with that person. That's always going to be the ultimate way you're going to get full verification. Results are the thing, Will. If you want to know if someone is as good as they say they are, you want to look for tangible results. And there are other things you can do. I'll give you an example. Talking about the world of LinkedIn. If you want to know if someone's good at LinkedIn, look how many connections and followers they've got. Look how much engagement they're getting on their LinkedIn content. Look at the traction, look at their profile, look at what they're posting. But as we kind of chatted to before we went live, there are some ways that unfortunately people can manipulate some of those stats as well, which is what we'll cover a bit in today.
Sure. I think you spot on here, and just to double down and clarify this, it isn't just reading testimonials or even just watching video reviews of a product or service. If you can speak to the individual customers themselves, that is going to be the best way to go about this. And I recorded a episode of the Sales Podcast with C. Lee Smith from, I think he's the CEO over at Sales Fuel yesterday. And we were talking about sales credibility. I've literally got the show notes here in my hand, the questions that I was asking him. And this will be relevant because Lee talks about this hierarchy of sales credibility, and you just nailed the top part of it, which he calls what customers say. So that's the top part. And if we work from the bottom up, this will make sense. The bottom part of sales credibility, and this reflects to expertise credibility or product service credibility, whatever we're trying to suss out here. The bottom of the pyramid will be what the internet says about XYZ. And clearly that can be manipulated, that can be gamed. Next, as what the individual says, so what they're talking. If you can very quickly see from someone's LinkedIn posts, tweets, YouTube videos, whether they know what they're talking about most of the time. Then we have how you say it, so how you present yourself has a massive impact on what's the end result of the product service that you're probably trying to sell. Then we have what you physically do. So perhaps you engage with these individuals and they say they're going to do something. Do they actually do it? Do they do it to the level of excellence that they say they're going to do? Then finally at the top, what their customers say. So that hierarchy, I'll include this in the show notes. This is from Sales Cred, the book written by C. Lee Smith, who's the CEO over at Sales Fuel. This was literally just next to me. I was like, oh, that makes total sense for this conversation. But that's the kind of hierarchy that Lee puts together. Do you agree with that, Daniel?
I really do, Will, and I'm interested in that book and that episode now. I'll be checking that out. We can chat about that afterwards. But that hierarchy makes so much sense. I think the key thing is people, even you and I, Will, as consumers, just need to raise our standards and make sure we do our due diligence. Anyone can say anything, whether it's online, on their website, on their ClickFunnels page that's designed to make you buy a course, whether it's on their LinkedIn profile or other social media networks. Look through the smoke and mirrors and try and find the truth. The truth is there somewhere. Sometimes it will lead you to the fact they are a very credible trainer. And actually, yes, your money is safe with them. They are going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. However, others you are going to find, you're just going to end up being another person that spends money and regrets doing so.
Yeah. And the issue is some of this, if we're going to be paint an even picture, is that some of this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If I say, and I don't know if we'll name the person here, but you could find, if you Googled this term, you'd probably find him. If I said I was the UK's best speaker, Eventually, that might become true if I say it often enough and media picks up on that and I start getting quoted as that. And Daniel Disney, the king of social sales, if we say this often enough, it is true, but it'll get more and more cemented in both our own self-esteem and then the internet will talk about it in that way as well. So there is, to be fair, a level of, if we're doing Tony Robbins-esque self-development here, we might want to say something, but then it comes down to your actions, what other people say about you to really prove it. So if we look at the hierarchy, we may not be bullshitting people when we say, I'm this, I'm that, but that might be, we got to take it with a pinch of salt in that when we're observing it, perhaps it's aspirational as opposed to what people are right now. Is that fair?
That's really fair. And whether we're speaking about the same person, but I know there is a number one speaker in the UK. And actually,
we're definitely speaking about the right person. Same person.
They were quite good in the fact that when they made that claim, they actually sort of had it in brackets underneath because my mum said I was. Now, sure. You know, that then makes it a lot more human and authentic. But with something like that, it's very easy to determine for yourself whether they are what they say they are, because you can see video footage, you can see speaker reels. You know, there is enough evidence out there that you can watch and determine for yourself, okay, actually, yes, they are a fantastic speaker. Maybe they're not the best in the UK, but it probably clearly are one of the best. And look for that proof in the pudding. There is often a lot of content out there, whether it's video, interviews, whether it's articles, their own posts, that should give you a good idea. Okay, does this person actually know what they're talking about?
Again, I feel like I'm on the wrong side of all this. I'm on the side of people who are pushing the limits a little bit here. There's a level of subjectivity to this as well. So if I make a claim that I'm going to, I'll quote Grant, because Grant Cardone doesn't care about us commenting here. If I say I'm going to 10x your revenue, I'm going to 10x whatever it is, that's objective, right? That is measurable. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. And I like Grant. Grant's given me a bunch of advice over the years. So maybe he can, maybe he can't. But to make that claim before consulting with the organization, before saying, look at the numbers and the value that you can add, for a salesperson, for example, if you turn around and say, I'm going to 10x this before you've even engaged with the buyer, then clearly you don't know that for a fact. So some of this is objective, but some of it's subjective. Maybe in people's minds, the individual that we're talking about is the UK's top speaker, and I know people might hate him. We'll pick on Donald Trump. Half of America loves him, half of America hates him. He says one thing and half of America says, I trust him, he's 100%, I'm totally behind it. And the other half say he's a weird orange fat dude with a weird haircut and I don't trust anything he says. So some of this is objective, some of it is subjective, right?
I think that's a really good point to make, and it highlights the fact that, I could be one of the best LinkedIn trainers out there. That doesn't mean I'm going to connect with every single person on this planet. Some people aren't going to like me. Some people, aren't going to listen to what I say for just the general reasons of life. But as you say, Will, we each have different preferences. And so sometimes you will gel to people that might not be the best in the industry, but actually, do you know what? You listen to them, you connect with them, you have similar values to them. So yeah, people are different. And sometimes you've got to look beyond just some of the claims that go there and look at the individuals, look at the people. But again, I think the whole moral of the story is about this whole episode. If you're going to spend money on something or someone, do your homework first, regardless of whether you like them or not. You may love them. You may love the content they put in. They may say the stuff that you think, yeah, I agree with that completely. That doesn't mean they're going to give the value they promise in the products that they sell. So regardless of everything, always do your homework first.